In Tanzania, what happens is most of the agricultural commodities go through a crop regulatory board. So the role of the regulator is supposed to ensure that the crop is grown, the crop is the right quality, coming out of the right quality, the farmers get the right prices, and finally it is marketed and the quality norm maintained for the crop. Keeping that in mind, the role of the regulator is more to facilitate and ensure a even playing ground for all the participants in the sector. Uh, so specifically, if we ask as to what is the hindrances, or what are the areas of, or what are the challenges that come from these regulatory boards, is so it depends on board to board or product to product. Some of them really sometimes get into the real playing the role of a real seller. So instead of really developing the crop, they actually become a seller of the crop. And in some cases, they really focus on development of the crop. So wherever the development aspect happens, those crops have grown and those businesses have flourished. But wherever there are hindrances that have happened, where the regulator assumes the role of the seller, then the businesses have not grown. And that's where the constraint is, or that's where the challenge is. And that is what the government should address, as to how can they really sit back and regulate the business rather than doing the business. The laws and delays which impacts our business largely is centered around infrastructure. So if we are able to really address the infrastructure issues, then clearly we see the benefits passing it back to the either to the end user or the farmer in this case. Because we are in agricultural commodities, you have a lot of costs coming because of multiple movements and multiple handling of the commodities. Some of the inland infrastructure, like inland roads, are better. Some of them are difficult to address. Any difficult roads or any difficult activities has multiplying effects. So you have an increased cost, you have increased risks, and all that adds up to your cost, and hence you have a higher cost of processing or a higher cost of procurement, which will end up having a higher cost of the product when you are exporting. And we all need to understand that we are operating in a global market. So nobody is going to give us a subsidy for the fact that we are operating in difficult conditions. So these impact directly sometimes in your cost of processing or in your cost of material that you buy from the farmers. And somebody at the end of it has to subsidize for it. So sometimes it becomes the processor who subsidizes for it, or it becomes the farmer who subsidizes for it. If I look at an import container getting delayed, the average delay is anywhere between 15 to 20 days. So 15 to 20 day delay has again huge costs, because the moment the delay is seen, then there are everybody trying to exploit costs in that delay. There is the shipping company which levies demurrage on you, there is a port which levies a demurrage on you, there are transporters who are waiting who levy a demurrage on you. So all these costs add up to, and they finally come to the consumer, and it delays the whole process by wherein you have to do the business. So if tomorrow, if I am putting up a coffee plantation, and if my irrigation equipment comes to the port, and if it has to wait for 20 days, then my whole project gets delayed, and it multiplies and adds to the cost of doing business. When it comes about availability of skilled manpower, yes, clearly that is a challenge, and we need to really find ways and means of getting more and better skilled manpower. OLAM continues to promote local development of manpower, where we are able to really focus and have in-house developmental programs to improve the quality of our people and bring them to a level so that they are able to run and manage businesses. So today in our workforce, we have almost like close to 90% of our teams which are run by Tanzanians. Tanzania can really become the food basket for the whole of East and Central Africa. So with that potential being in place, the government has realized it about 3 to 4 years back and introduced a concept called Kilimo Kwanza. And under the Kilimo Kwanza policy, the government is really pushing hard on 10 critical elements which include getting better access to land, better access to water, better access to irrigation infrastructure, better access to seed inputs, better access to finance, and better access to markets. So since the government has already put a strategy paper in place, it is more on how to make the strategy work. So it is all now dependent on executing this strategy.